Stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming on. All right, Secretary, for the roll call.
Andrew Melton.
Present.
Dan Osborne.
Present.
And Andrew Strati.
Present.
Barry McManaway.
Present.
John Christ is present, and also note that our building commissioner, Steve Gorski, is here. Are we recording?
We are. Yes,
Is there anybody?
I just let you know.
there's nobody online at this
This
time.
meeting is being recorded, so what you say will be always there, so. Everybody's had a chance to look over the September minutes.
Yeah, I've already signed them.
Oh, they're all signed?
I signed mine.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
A motion that we approve the September 15th minutes. A second.
Got first and second. All in favor? Sign by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign. Aye. On the first. Approved. All right. Going on to
Back page is one to sign for that.
First case up is case number 2024-B26. The petition has been filed by Theodore J. Moran. I hope I said it right. 110 West Washington Street, Culver, Indiana.
Yes, sir.
To approve a variance of development standards to install a storage farm. Request is a 0-foot setback from the north property line and 20 feet from the west frontage property line. Standard calls 25 feet from the west frontage property line and 10 feet from the north rear yard property line.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to present.
Yeah, I'm Ted Moran. Just a little history. I bought the house in 2012. Me and my wife had bought it. It was a beautiful home. It's a beautiful L-shaped porch, big giant yard, close proximity to my brother. Took possession. Did have a single car, story and a half garage on the west side where the apron still is. It was unusable. It was unsafe, so I immediately had it torn down. A couple years later, came to the building commissioner. It wasn't Steve, it was somebody else, but said I'd like to build another garage. He told me where I could build it. We would have had to move the electric, cut a cherry tree down that's been there forever, and try to get us back to the alley to our exit and entryway. We weren't going to do it. We got 3 little kids. We got 3 dogs. We love the yard, so just went on about our business and forgot about it. There's an old shed sitting there still. Since it's become a little leaky, we've always had our stuff in there, but over the years, it's been 12, 13 years now, we've accumulated a few more things, including a golf cart. So I thought we'd approach and try to get a shed built right on the side of the yard. It's kind of a unique lot because it has a parking lot one side, 2 streets, Washington, Ohio, and an alley. So there is an existing shed there, like I said. So I'd like to take that down, just basically double the size of it along the side of the house, north side of the house. Any questions or anything? That's it.
You know, Chair, have questions?
I do have a picture.
What's the size of the shed now? 8 by 2?
It's about an 8 by 10.
8 by 20.
Looking for an 8 by 20 or 10 by 20 if I can get that. I'm gonna have to do something with an overhead door so I can get the ball in there.
So when you say it's currently 8 foot, that's 8 foot to the north property line,
Yes,
and it's right on the property line.
not now. So it's 13 feet to the property line from my house. So I do have another 2 feet.
Because your fence is set back even with this, right?
Right.
So your fence isn't on the property line either?
No, the fence isn't on the property line. There's 3 foot easement in there from the parking lot to my property.
So it's your property, is that grass all the way out to the park, to the
That's the
parking lot?
fence.
Then
Property lines and fence line.
From the house, you should.
So you've got 10 feet from garage.
Yes. So it's 20 feet off of the sidewalk. And then I'm looking for, that 3 foot easement that I can go in that property line. That's the 0.
Is there a reason that you have to put it back there?
I just like to put it there because that's what the existing one is, so I could take that out and keep it to the side yard. It'll look much nicer than the one that's there now. The approach to the garage is already still there, the apron is still off of Ohio right there. And I hate to put anything in the back of the yard, I have to put some kind of driveway back there, so it'll be a whole lot cost efficient to me. The electric would have to be moved.
Electric from the garage to the
This is where.
There's a garage, there's electric from the alley going to my house, kind of hangs a little lower. So that might have to be rerouted. Not to mention the cherry tree, I don't know how much. If I'd have to go with the variance, then yeah, cherry tree might have to be moved too.
So as far as hardship here, hardship,
Storage, I got yard equipment now, I've got the golf cart, got water sports in the last 12 years. That shed that there's now is leaking now from the roof. Wasn't gonna build anything, I was just gonna have one of those prefab one that's already built, put in there.
That's the academy's, like,
Okay.
IT or somebody.
It's the old superintendent building.
Seal
Yeah.
superintendent.
Oh, okay, now, so I was wondering where, so
Yeah.
all that, that's a big open area.
So it's kind of a unique property.
I'm sorry, you mentioned something about a garage. Could you?
So there used to be a garage right there. May I approach?
sure, please. I can hear you about kids.
We'll have that.
Oh, I can definitely.
Recording part.
So this was the garage, used to be there.
Okay, all right, okay.
This was leaning, couldn't see
Yeah,
the
yeah,
red door back there. It's like the time when I had small kids. I immediately took it down. That's the shed that's still there.
All right.
And where's the garage that you tore down?
Yeah, it's different off the radar.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting enough, this garage used to be at the other side of the property. Way before me, and it was moved away. So that might be a reason.
When did you tear the garage down?
I had the garage torn down.
When?
2014.
With this may have been asked, was could you place the shed where the garage was?
I don't think with the variance I can. Because it needs to be 25 feet off and then 10 feet over. So I think that 25 feet, I think where it goes right now, where I would want to put it would be more safe for people pulling out of the school, being 20 feet off of the sidewalk.
Where exactly on the property do you want to place this new building?
I hope this helps you because this is a.
Are you going 20 feet, adding the 10 feet on?
Here's that parking lot, but here's the existing shed here. I'm looking to get this shed going, I would place the whole thing. I know it's hard.
Okay, this is the house,
This is the house.
okay,
This is where that shed is now.
okay,
I'm looking to get rid of that and replace it with either an 8x20 or a 10x20.
Right.
If I go closer to the house, I can get a 10x20 in there, have that 0 variance here.
Okay,
I would only need 20 feet variance here. Is the 20 variance off of the front of the sidewalk or off of the one close? I'm not sure which one it is. He just told me 25 feet. No, I got 20 feet here.
It's off of the west frontage.
the west frontage of the sidewalk?
In other words, Ohio Street. They're asking for 20 feet back from Ohio Street.
Okay,
Okay, so
I'm asking for 20 feet from that sidewalk on my side of the property.
From your property line, if that's the sidewalk.
That's 20 feet.
I went over, and I took pictures of that, and when I went over, I measured from your foundation to the end of your current shed, and it's 9 feet, 6 inches. So your new one's gonna stick out 6 inches more.
Okay, from the rock of the house.
Yes, from your
Okay.
foundation.
So I could get an 8-foot one in there?
Yeah, 8 foot wide, but I don't know
8
if
by
that's,
20 would do,
I don't know if that'd serve your golf cart, but
or a door in there too.
I did, when I took pictures, I stood in the parking lot. and I was
Where's,
able to put a
where's,
tape measure
where's
to
the
it.
fence in relation?
Fence is right behind here. Behind the shed.
Yeah, but in relation. The fence line here
Mhm.
and the edge of your current storage barn.
Right.
Where's,
Right to here, it goes right to the edge of this.
so it's even with, the fence is even,
Oh, no, actually, the fence sticks out a little bit more.
you know how much?
I don't.
Inches.
I mean, the fence is already there, right? And you said he's got 9 foot 6 inches?
To the from his foundation to the outside end of the current storage building. It's
Okay, and then the fence extends a little bit beyond?
a little bit beyond, I can't tell you exactly how much.
Okay. Are there footings that the current storage barn is sitting on?
It's on cement pad. I'm not sure how thick.
So you'd have to tear that up?
I don't think I would. I think I could just grade out the grass, put stone there and just go right on top of it.
you're just setting no foundation. Other than sitting on that.
Yeah, it's just sitting on a pad. I don't know how thick it is. It's cracked. I know that, so I'm not sure how thick it is.
So I guess my question is, that shed currently,
Yes.
if the fence is the property line, how are you actually getting to your shed without going on the neighbor's property?
Yeah, there's an approach there. That shed was there before I bought the house.
Yeah, but can you actually get to it without going on that driveway that belongs to the academy?
Oh, I don't pull anything in there. That is just strictly a walk-in. You can't pull anything into that shed. Is that what you're asking?
But you're gonna be putting. golf
Yeah, but I thought you were
But
gonna,
I want to put the overhead door to the approach to my driveway where the apron is. To the west. Yes.
The door to face west.
right,
Yes.
you want the door to face
I
to the west.
apologize.
You said from the house to the property line, how much?
From the foundation
From the fence.
to the edge of the current accessory building shed that's there was 9 feet, 6 inches. But the siding on the house, the foundation sits back, so you have probably a couple more inches actually from the house itself. I just measured from the foundation. So it'd be probably closer to 9 foot 4 inches from the actual siding of the house.
So 10 foot.
I don't think it would fit.
You put 10 foot in there, you're gonna be on the other property.
We did too. We measured it.
But I don't know the distance between the front of the current storage building to the fence line or property line. I didn't measure that.
Good, yeah. The fence not the issue. Just the fence for your house.
Yeah.
The fence currently sits at 0, right?
Yes.
The fence is at 0.
Prince is at 0.
So, if I may, we helped measure some things with Ted today,
Yeah.
and you can make that 10 by 20 work on that spot,
Did you
in
get his
that
name?
grassy spot. He does have to do some grading, but he's gonna grade it even with the current driveway, that the approach that's there, and that shed will sit on a rock base. It's not concrete, so it's a rock base. The item he's looking for will fit perfectly there, and it won't run past the fence, and it won't run past the house.
Could you please identify yourself?
I'm Tom Moran. I'm at 306 West Jefferson Street. Ted is my brother and also my neighbor.
301 what?
306 West Jefferson Street.
How tall is the new one?
Well, it'll be a standard size shed with 8-foot high walls. It won't
So it'll be probably around 11 feet high,
approximately, yes.
so somewhere in there. So will that's considerably higher than what's there now. Will that be, if we're measuring from the side of the house, we have to consider the overhang. Will you have to move it out away from the overhang, or will it fit under the
We'll have to move
overhang?
it out. It'll be close to that overhang. We know we have to keep it tight. That's why he's kind of navigating that. And if it has to be custom built to make it work there, he's definitely willing to do that.
And the building itself is not gonna have over.
The building itself will not overhang that property line. Correct. There will be no infringement on that parking lot. And as he said, he's pulling his golf cart out the front towards Ohio Street.
On my,
It will not be, nothing will be offloaded into that Culver Academy parking lot.
Heard from any, that buddy from the academy as far as,
no, sir, and my neighbors, I've talked to them.
I have no letters. I have no letters for or against.
okay, everybody online,
There is one person online that's muted, Denise. I don't have her last name.
if everybody here is done with any concerns, I'll put it up. All right, anybody online have anything to say?
There's not.
Okay, anybody have any concerns or anything about this?
Sure.
All right. Move. So, I'll entertain a motion. Case number,
You want to do findings of fact?
oh yeah, fine, you're right. I'm not here from too. We're finding the facts. Okay, there's 3 things here you want to look at. And just remind the board, if you disagree with anything, have to vote against it. Number 1, general welfare. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Agree or disagree? Adjacent property, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Agree or disagree? 3 is practical difficulty. The strict application of terms of zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Situation should not be self-imposed, nor be based on a perceived reduction of or restriction on economic gain. Agree or disagree? Wrong motion.
Want to read it?
I have a
So
question.
it's specific.
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah.
So because this is a secondary building, in the future, it could not be, this variance couldn't be used to add on to the house, correct?
Your motion has to be specific. So
Yeah, yeah.
You can tell them what the motion is.
All right. Yeah, that a petition has been filed with Theodore J. Moran, 110 Washington Street, Culver, Indiana, to approve a variance of development standards to install a storage barn. Request 0-foot setback from the north property line, 20 feet from the west frontage property line. And stipulation that you might want or whatever, what you said. I mean, it's gonna be not on a foundation. So in my opinion, in the back, it's not gonna be a variance to allow something built there.
It's a motion for the storage. Yeah, just for.
That's what you list there.
Pardon?
If that's your motion, you stated the storage barn in the motion.
So that motion is made,
What you just read?
what I just read. Can you get that? Yeah. So what it says for not being able to build.
Okay, that's,
Would you repeat the motion, please?
All right, the motion would be to approve this variance on the conditions of not being able to build.
We want to read it though, where it says all the setbacks, so we have it exact.
Okay, this has been filed. All right, request is to set back from the north rear property line and 20 feet from the west front property line. Standard calls for 25 foot from the west frontage and 10 feet from the north rear yard property line. North rear yard. Beside there.
so is it,
The north is a rear yard.
Okay.
so is it as presently stated on here?
Was that the side yard?
Yeah, so,
The north side yard. Where's your front, your address is on Washington Street, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that is the rear yard. But it's written correctly.
So it's written correctly.
Okay.
And the conditions that you might put on that.
You just said it just for the storage barn.
It's written
It's written in the motion you just read.
So I entertain a motion. As read.
I entertain a motion, or I have a motion that we approve variance as read.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it all.
Second. All right, I think we have no second. Okay. Then variance is denied.
Motion dies.
Motion dies. Couldn't approve that. All right.
Can I ask a question? Or no?
You can ask, but I don't know that I can answer. Go ahead.
Guess I'm not gonna ask why, but if there's a pad there right now, can I just replace that shed then?
That was not variance, that was.
Right,
Okay.
thank you.
So I would just clarify that this doesn't count as a denial because there wasn't a motion. So if you were to have another proposal, if there's a variance that's denied, there's a waiting period of, I think, a year before you could make any other requests. So if you had some other requests that you wanted to advance to the board, you wouldn't be prohibited from doing so for that year period because it wasn't actually a denial. There just wasn't any action. No majority that was willing to entertain a motion to approve it. So if you want to go back to the drawing board, you have that ability to work with Mr. Gorski and try to come up with another presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, moving to the next.
So we don't need these.
No.
Well, you can turn them into me still. I mean, you went through it.
States.
Guys wanna? And these are I'm gonna back to people.
Oh, this-
So, yeah, those are,
Okay. Okay. Next is, resolution concerning property located at 1817 Tamarack Road, Culver, Indiana. And the resolution, do you want to read this?
Like me too, or would you like your secretary to read it?
Yeah, Mr. Or you can correct it.
Is this the correct copy?
Except for the S, yeah. No,
For the S.
it's the same thing, just don't have S added to.
Resolution of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the Town of Culver, Indiana. Whereas the Board of Zoning Appeals approved petition 2021-014B concerning property located at 18710 Tamarack Road, Culver, Indiana, at its meeting held June 17th, 2021. And whereas a subsequent hearing concerning the same property was held by the Board of Zoning Appeals on February 16th, 2023, regarding petition 2023-B-99993, which petition was approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals on that date. And whereas the Board of Zoning Appeals desires to clarify its approvals in both of the above described matters to eliminate any questions concerning the form of the proposed development will take and the method by which conditions imposed by the Board of Zoning Appeals can be properly preserved for current and future owners in the development. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Zoning Appeals of the Town of Culver, Indiana, as follows. 1, the special use exemption approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals, along with the associated restrictions recited herein as applied to the real estate located at 18710 Tamarack Road, Culver, Indiana, are enforceable against Beachview Properties LLC, ADDD Equities LLC, and any subsequent title holder. 2, the form of ownership of the development shall be a commercial condominium regime, and units within the regime will either be sold or leased. 3, the special use exemptions approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals shall run with title to the real estate or the individual condominium units. 4, the declaration of condominium and/or condominium bylaws will contain restrictions on use as imposed by the Board of Zoning Appeals, and in particular shall provide: A, no condominium unit shall be used as a residence or otherwise be used by anyone for overnight stays. B, no outside storage of personal property shall occur on the property. C, no activities shall occur on the property which constitute a nuisance. D, no exterior signage shall exist on the property other than unit numbers, contact information in the event of an emergency, one entrance sign providing the same name of the condominium, and a for sale or for lease sign not to exceed 4 square feet indicating a unit or units for sale or lease. 5, inclusion of these conditions in the declaration of commercial condominium association and/or commercial condominium bylaws will satisfy the requirements of the Board of Zoning Appeals. This resolution was adopted by the Board of Zoning Appeals of Culver, Indiana on 17th day of October 2024.
All right. You got anybody from all these.
Steve Snyder, on behalf of the current owners of property. Whenever you're dealing with something that's somewhat unique, and this type of structure is, you go through the necessary exception requirements, get the approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals, and then for any number of reasons, issues may arise as to what actually was approved. When the exception was approved, the representation was that the property would be leased. I don't think that representation was very well thought out at the time it was made, because this type of development lends itself much more to a condominium regime than it does to a single ownership with leases of the various units within the project. I think everybody now involved has agreed with that, but there was a lot of concern. How do you carry over those restrictions that were imposed by the Board of Zoning Appeals at the original hearing into an entity, if you will, in the form of a condominium? And it's actually pretty simple. If you have a lease, you have to recite those terms in the lease. And you would have one lease for each unit if they're leased out. If it's a condominium, there are three documents necessary to create a condominium. The first is a declaration under state statute declaring it to be a horizontal property regime. The second is a set of bylaws to regulate and govern the performance of the owners association, which each owner of a condominium is required to be a member of. And the third is a site plan, and that's nothing more than a survey showing the location of the buildings, driveways, so on and so forth. In either the declaration or the bylaws, restrictive covenants can be placed, which are then enforceable by the owners association against individual unit owners should a violation occur. If you have a lease, you may have those provisions in a lease, and it's then up to the owner of the entire project to enforce those covenants against a particular violator being a tenant. 6 one, half a dozen the other. It all works out the same, except in the case of an owners association enforcing these rules, the owners association is made up by owners in the condominium. Those owners have a self-interest to protect. They don't want the rules violated because of the effect it could have on their property value. I've probably put together 60 condominiums over the last 50 years, and I find that condominium owners associations are very effective. They are required to make assessments or budgets to preserve the property, make necessary repairs to the building, and every one of those members that owns a condominium unit wants that to occur, and they want it to occur as it should and as it's described, because they've got an investment in those units that they can't just walk away from as they could if they were a leaseholder. So you've got some more teeth, not necessarily legal teeth, but practical teeth, that these are owners who want these rules and regulations followed and want the association to do its duties. One of the benefits, and this is a benefit to the town, is if you have one owner of the entire project, that project can change hands. It's likely an investment property, and it's also likely that over its life, it will change hands, very likely several times. Right now, the initial, if you will, builder or developer is local. 5 years from now, the whole project might be sold, if it is not a condominium, to one investor who's in Indianapolis or Chicago and doesn't have routine contact with the project to make sure what's going on. If you have a condominium, you have all of the owners of units in charge of everything in that condominium. And they're always going to be local because they're there using the units. They see what's going on. And if there's a violation or appears that there could be a violation, they can take those steps immediately, as opposed to what an investor owner might do if he's 100 or 300 miles away and doesn't have that daily routine contact. In addition, the declaration and bylaws can provide an enforcement mechanism to the town that a lease may not be able to do. The person who is a tenant, if they don't want to conform to the rules and regulations, they can just turn and walk away, terminate their lease, and they're gone. The owner of a condominium isn't going to do that. He's got a significant investment in it. He wants to make sure everything is done properly. And if the town has an enforcement mechanism through the declaration and the bylaws, the town can do one of two things. It can go to the homeowners association and say, it's your obligation to enforce these regulations, do it. Or it can go to the individual condominium unit owner and say, you're in violation of the provisions of our exception approval, and you need to come into compliance. That gives you two alternatives. They're both local in that event. The owner's going to be here from the standpoint of having possession of real estate located in the town, and the owners association can't go anywhere. By statute, its obligations are set. It has to continue in perpetuity unless the condominium would disappear. And that's not going to happen with a project this size. The association is governed by a board of directors, typically 3 members. All of those members have to be owners of units in the condominium, and they are charged with the obligation of enforcing any restrictions on the use that appear in those documents. These would appear in those documents. So I'm going to suggest that it sticks one half a dozen the other, except for the fact that if it is one owner of the entire project, that owner may not be in Culver or nearby. They may be wherever that investment happens to be. If it's a condominium association, it's local. That association is required to operate the condominium development, and it will always have a board of directors that will be local because they will be owners. And I think that's an advantage to the town if it ever comes to enforcement of these exceptions.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Do we have anybody online for public comments?
So one person's online, but no indication that.
Anybody in the audience?
I'll just add that, so after we had the meeting, maybe a month and a half ago or so, I was in communication with Burke Richardson about how we could most efficiently deal with the board's concerns. And he and the ownership had presented the idea of coming up with this resolution and tasked Mr. Snyder with working on it. So we went through a number of drafts of it to make some small edits. And I would agree with what he said in terms of it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, in terms of, the enforceability of these restrictions, whether it's condo ownership or a lease. I can understand where there was surprise and some of the heartburn the board members had when we first learned about the change, because those representations about the lease structure were what Mr. Richardson had made in the past meetings. But I'm very confident that this is just as much or even more so some of the practical reasons that Mr. Snyder referenced as good and enforceable as the lease terms. And then also we had mentioned the last time that this structure will result in a higher assessed valuation of the property that will be to the benefit of the town as well. So I would recommend the board's approval of the resolution.
I would like to, just a clarifying question, Mr. Snyder. You mentioned that the town will have greater enforceability, being able to approach an HOA condo regime board.
Mhm.
One of the questions I have is that sounds contrary to a certain degree from what Mr. Richardson told us during a TRC meeting back September 2023, in which the question was asked how we could enforce the overnight stay. And that's really the crux of it, right? And he simply stated that the town would not have that ability. He doesn't want town resources being the police, and that would not be an effective way that we could enforce with that. The lease mechanism during the December meeting in 2022 was really the mechanism that was presented by Mr. Richardson as the way of the controlling interest. Like we could control the overnight stay because he stated that with a lease, you could remove somebody, whereas if somebody owned the property, that you can't remove them.
Well, I'll try to respond in the best that I can. Again, 6-1, half a dozen the other. If we put the provision in the declaration and bylaws, the town has the ability to enforce those. If the homeowners association does not, that gives you more power than you had under the lease. If there is a violation, then let's concentrate on the overnight stays because that's the biggest concern.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a violation and the town goes to the owner of the entire complex and says, enforce that. Well, the owner may say, no, I don't feel like it. I don't want to spend the money to do it. The homeowners association is not going to be in a position to do that because they have an obligation on them to enforce the covenants of the condominium. I don't see any reason why we can't give the town the ability to enforce that provision or those provisions either against the owners association or the individual unit owner who is violating it.
And by that, would you suggest a penalty that could occur?
I don't know that a penalty is appropriate other than what's stated in your zoning ordinance. And for a violation of the zoning ordinance, I don't recall, and Sean, maybe you remember, is it $10 to $300 per day each violation?
200.
200.
Okay, so that's available.
Okay, appreciate the clarification.
That's got some teeth.
So
Thank you, sir.
I can spend $200 and spend the night. It's basically what you're saying.
Be willing to pay the
Yeah.
money.
Be cheaper to go out and get a motel.
Is anybody else? All right, gentlemen, state your name and
Hi, I'm Paul Berry. I'm at 921 South Plymouth. I would advocate against condominium, and that's based on residency in Florida. I've logged a little over 9 years on board of directors, different HOAs in the size of 2,223 homes. Florida is probably the start place of HOAs and stuff like that. And in HOA, you have conflict and stupidity, essentially. And you have safety in numbers. And I've been through lawsuits, transitioning developer, people coming in and, Joey don't like Sally and all these things. And there's a perception of safety in numbers. So if you're on the condo board, you have safety in numbers because you ain't spending your money to defend things. You've got 30 other owners, you're spending their money. So you could we had a situation where we had, outvoted on board members and one resident took us, and I mean, not only got us to buy the house, pay for moving, everything, just because of fence variance laws. So just a simple thing like that. Other things that can't fly the American flag. Well, that brought all kinds of excitement. So that's a problem. The thing when you negotiate, you have a single owner with the lease, you can handle it. What as Florida has learned is you got a separation as a business, and then you have separate real estate law for HOAs. The Villages, which is probably a very large retirement community, operates under the kind of the business model because they can maintain and control the destiny of the villages. and they are professional property managers, and they do everything. So you don't have the subunits breaking out and creating, chaos within the larger community. So I think the easiest way to control is one person, you feel the pain, okay, you need to correct it, okay, you're 300 miles away, Mr. Smith or Joe, it's on you, versus safety in numbers, a gaggle of folks, some folks that may pay attention or not pay attention. So I'd recommend that, and Florida case law shows that on a couple things, that people have been forced in with a 66% vote to turn into a condo when they were like a Silver Stream, like RV park thing. They got manipulated, and all of a sudden, people got forced into it. I recommend against go for one person, one lease, whatever, and do it on the business side, on the contractual side, because the condo association laws and everything, I don't think Indiana would be as stringent in condo law as Florida has been, based on their experience. And it's kind of a fake law, if you will. So
Thank you. Tom?
I can't believe that it's simpler to make a person sell their home or sell their property there if it's in a condo system. If they totally refuse to not stay there overnight or leave stuff out in front of their building, whatever. But it's a lot easier for one developer that owns the entire development to say your lease is violated. See ya.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right.
I'd like to respond.
All right.
I've been creating condominiums for 50 plus years. Indiana's condominium laws were modeled after Florida's, and they have developed better than Florida's have, because Florida's have been attacked by developers who wanted to take shortcuts. Indiana's condominium law has not been amended very much over the last 50 years. I've also been involved representing owners associations in probably 50 condominium developments. And I have found in each one of those, without exception, that the board of directors takes its job seriously. And when there is a violation, they take care of making sure the violation is corrected. I just went through a period of about 8 months of litigation on behalf of the owners association when a unit owner failed to do what the bylaws and the declaration covenants require. So I disagree completely that Indiana is a little lax in its condominium laws. That's not the case. And as far as ease of enforcement, I would suggest it's going to be much easier if the town wants to get involved in enforcement and walk around the owners association to go directly to the owner of a single unit who is the violator and prohibit that violation from occurring. If the town wants to take that initiative, it's a very simple process. You file suit against that owner if he won't correct the violation. You allege the zoning violation. You ask the court to enjoin the violation so that it can't take place anymore. And you also ask the court to impose a fine of, up to $200 a day against that owner and recover your attorney's fees in the process. That is the strongest method. If you go against the developer is going to do everything he can to avoid paying you anything. And he's going to have the deep pocket to fight if he feels that the allegations of a violation are incorrect. The owner, the single owner, isn't going to be in that position. And from the standpoint of the zoning violation, you can ignore everybody and go right to the violation and say either you correct it or we're taking you to court. And those actions are very effective. I've been there.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Is there some reason you did state that having this would provide the town of Culver with some additional enforcement ability? Is there some reason that that could not be put into this resolution?
I don't see any reason why it couldn't be. It would merely be a provision that says the town of Culver has the authority to enforce the covenants contained in the declaration. I'm not sure the town wants that. You've got the authority to do it because it would be a zoning violation, and you can recover attorney's fees for a zoning violation. If you're trying to enforce for restrictive covenants, I don't believe you can.
It would be better to keep it in our zoning
Yeah, I
ordinances.
Okay.
So there's somebody online who'd like to comment.
Okay,
Hi, Denise Doherty, 19396 Tamarack Road. I am wondering why are we calling these condos if there's no residency?
Would you like me to answer?
Steve, you can answer that one.
For one of the attorneys to answer that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just so the condo it's I think it's a term that people associate with, what's a small apartment like thing that they've seen, particularly when they go on vacation to places like Florida and things. But really, in the legal terms, it's just a different type of ownership of real estate. And so that's why, even though they're not what you think of as a residence, they're legally classified as that condominium ownership. And I don't know, Steve, if you have anything to add there.
Yeah, it was created originally not just for residential use, but for commercial and even industrial use, because it allows for a sale of a particular condominium unit without subdividing the property with zero lot lines. Essentially, a condominium unit is a box in the air because it doesn't own the land under it, and it doesn't own the walls on each side of it. Those are common areas owned by all of the condominium unit owners jointly. So it's just a form of ownership that allows a greater ease of sale of an individual unit.
Are they commonly referred to just as horizontal regimes too, to kind of avoid the confusion sometimes with the condo? I've heard them called that. But
Okay. Horizontal property regime is
I'm asking.
Yeah, it's what the language was in the original Indiana condominium or statute. About 2 years ago, somebody didn't like that anymore in the State House. So we don't talk about them as horizontal property regimes. We just call them what they are, a condominium.
Thanks, sir.
Let's
Appreciate
address this too. One has a question on it, please. Have you got anything else? Did that answer your question?
Thank you for the clarification. I just thought they were originally going to be quote storage units, so I was wondering the name change. Thank you.
No, they are staying as storage units. All right, anybody else? Nobody else online? All right, so we'll come to the board members. And I'll start with you, and please don't interrupt your other stuff.
I mean, I guess what caused the change from the rental units, which we were told so many times, to now being commercial?
Well, I can't get inside the head of the developer. What I can tell you is that the ease of transfer of ownership is the key. And as this project went from the drawing board to actual fruition, the developer recognized that the ownership of the entire unit had significant disadvantages. And if the owner wanted to keep 10 units and sell all the rest, he could, but if he didn't convert it to a condominium, he would not have that option.
You have any more concerns? Mr. Osborne? refer to concerned only. We've already had answers actually from address that.
Same question.
Okay. Mr. Christian?
Yeah, I know.
And as far as me, I mean, the only statement I've really got is the original request for it. And with all the citizens, neighboring, whatever, they were really adamant about not selling the units. And when it was proposed, and Mr. Richardson was here, and he agreed that that would be what it was at the time. It came back to change. It was not approved for the selling of. I mean, and the resolution does change that. So I mean, I feel like a change in the middle was not what the public asked for. It was not what the board was approving at the time for this resolution. And that's all I've got to say. This time,
Yeah, I don't.
you know, so as far as any of that, I'll read the motion request, which is for the resolution concerning property located at 18710 Tamarack Road, Culver, Indiana. So the resolution, do I need to read it again?
Or read what you have. No, you don't have to read it again. Just read what you have for your motion request in your hand.
Yes. And the motion request was for the resolution concerning property, which is this resolution. We read it. So at this time, I need a motion.
Do you want to clarify the motion?
The motion would be to either approve the resolution or not approve.
Do you want to use that language there?
I request motion to the resolution before this board zoning appeals for property located at 18710 Tamarack Road, Culver, Indiana, Beach Group Properties, LLC, ADD Equities, LLC, and any subsequent title holder regarding the above named property to clarify its approval in both of the described manners. Petition 2021-014B and 2023-B 99993 to eliminate any questions concerning the form of the proposed development to take and the method by which conditions imposed by the zoning appeals can be properly preserved for current and future owners in the development. So that would be the motion. Do I have a motion? Nobody has a motion? Then you can't vote on it. So at this time, I guess variance is denied for the case on the resolution.
We're not dealing with the variance, we're dealing with the
I just
resolution.
changed it to resolution.
Yeah, and the resolution is either approved or rejected. And if there's no motion, then there's no action, and I just come back next month and address it again.
Is that what you want to do?
Well, I think it needs to be acted on positively or negatively, so we know what the answer is.
Okay.
So if someone makes a motion, it doesn't mean they have to vote in favor of it.
Right. I mean, you can make a motion and a second and vote the way you feel.
I'll make the motion.
Make a motion that is read.
I guess I'm not sure what the motion is. Is it to approve or
Motion
reject?
is to approve. Am I correct?
The motion is.
I have a motion to approve resolution. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I got a first and second. So this time, all in favor, sign saying aye. Same sign, disapprove.
Aye.
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 Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, moving on. Any new business? No new business? Next meeting will be regular meeting at 6:30 PM on Thursday, November 21st, 2024. Time, I'll attempt to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Appreciate it.